So the growing season really is the start of whenever you see those daffodils start to bloom, the forsythias are going, roses are definitely leafing out. You're seeing your willows starting to put on foliage. These are all indicators that spring's here. That should be a cue. Okay, that's going to happen in April. Almost every spring is going to happen sometime in April. Okay. Then that's the start of the growing season. And then when does it end? Well, when you start to see those things have fall colors, your aspens are starting to show fall color, that aspen gold. The mums are in bloom. The pumpkins are out. You're decorating for the fall season. That's the growing season. So April through about the end of October, first part of November, depending on your elevation and where you're at. During that time, when you start to see those first flowers bloom, you need to be watering. Irrigation is important. So if you don't irrigate while things are in bloom, it'll shorten the bloom life. Or let's say your fruit trees, your peaches and apricots, nectarines, plums, they're starting to form fruits. As they form fruits, it's critical to get that irrigation spot on, because if it gets short for just a few days, the plant will start to sacrifice or shed their fruit, shed their flowers, because it's conserving the heart of the plant. It's not going to risk dying just to keep some fruit on. It's going to shed some of those. So it's critical to get those spot on. When your peonies are in bloom, it's important to get that watering much more accurate so that those flowers will stay on for an extra week or two. And so now is the time to activate the irrigation or to start watering by hand more regularly. And so let's just go over real quick. How often? When should it? That's when April through October. How often? Well, how long should I run that drip irrigation? Especially, it's like a mysterious thing. Sip of coffee. There we go. We're ready to go. Irrigation. So you are watering drip micro irrigation or drip irrigation. So this is usually a 1 gallon per hour emitter head. That's the industry standard. So that system has to run for an hour, and 1 gallon will come out of that one drip emitter. So let's say a 15-gallon tree, they might need 15 gallons of water per week. A 7-gallon tree needs about 7 gallons of water per week. A 5-gallon tree needs about 5 gallons. You're getting where I'm going with this, right? So the bigger the tree, the more water it's going to take. So you very seriously might need to have 2 or 3 emitters around the base of that plant to get enough water during that time that system is on. So you might run an irrigation system on average an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's pretty standard, because again, you need 15 gallons on a bigger tree. You need 2 or 3 emitter heads. Let's say you might even up the size. You might go to a 2 gallon per hour emitter head so that you can get enough water on this thing. You're trying to push that water down into the garden soil as deep as you can through the root zone and then a little beyond. So we're encouraging those plants to root deep. If you're watering frequently and not very long, what's going to happen is that, let's say you run it for 15 minutes, a drip irrigation system, not a flood irrigation or pop-up heads or lawns. We're talking about trees and shrubs that you're watering very efficiently with a drip irrigation system. You'll need to run that thing, push that thing down for a minimum. I mean, if you're doing just 15 minutes, what is that? 1 gallon per hour emitter head plus 15 minutes equals a quart of water. Very few plants need only a quart of water and they're happy. You're going to need to water more, deeper and longer. So that's a big mistake I find rookies make when they come into a drier or more a new subdivision where they require drip irrigation. They just don't know how to set it. And so they'll run it every day. Plants don't want water every day. They want a lot of moisture. They want to dry out in between the next water cycle. Otherwise, they can literally drown. Literally, if you can drown in a heavy clay soil, you're more likely to kill a plant by overwatering it than underwatering it. So especially if you're watering every day for an hour, that's too much. I'd say gather up all that water, hit trees and shrubs, big vines. They're going to want water typically 1, maybe 2 times per week. And that's enough. then let it dry out in between. Now, that's not the way you do lawns, flowers, vegetables, things with a shallow root structure, they dry out faster. And so you might be watering my containers. Right now, I'm watering every 5 days. So just 2, 3 times. And as it warms up to get to 80 degrees, I might bump it to every 3 days. When we're in the peak of summer, it might be every day. I'll monitor my plants and get a feel for it. I'll adjust that clock accordingly. And so you can do the same. So again, if you have trouble with that or you're just not sure, come visit me at the garden center. I will be glad to all of our nursery professionals, they are trained on how to water. And they've got a water guide. Every business card it's the number one question we get. How often should I water? It's on the back of my card. I'll give you one. It's made to make it easy. Put it in your garden journal. Tape it inside your irrigation box. But trees and shrubs, about once a week, an hour and a half, 2 hours for the drip system. Just hydrate them and make them happy. Okay, we'll be back right after this.